Let's go. I think we're ready. I think
Let's
we're
do
live.
it.
Oh, I did. I got rid of the background. There we go. Now we're cooking.
Woo.
We're back. It's 2025.
Yeah.
I've only talked to you for like 5 minutes all year.
Yeah. I haven't seen
How
you
are
since
you?
last year.
How are
I'm
you
doing
doing?
well. I'm well. I'm excited to get this going again. Um,
It's fun. I've been looking forward to it.
it is.
What is this? What are we doing here?
Stack of the week.
What does that mean? What is it? Like, what do we just.
Well, what do you want to do this week?
Say, like, in my head, what we're doing is like, let's just get something to production.
Yeah.
I assume that everybody has access to Docker, and if not, they don't. We'll still be able to run locally, but I assume that everybody has access to Docker of some sort. I assume that most people are containerizing workloads, or they're trying to get to containerized workloads.
Yeah.
But the whole idea here, I thought, was like, let's build something like top to bottom. Like, not let's not
Yeah.
skip any steps. Let's just do it from scratch,
Yeah.
because a lot of times we take things for granted. A lot of
Yeah.
developers, I think, take things for granted. Like, hey, you got easy buttons. You didn't realize like all the hard work that has to happen. So, uh, yeah, we're gonna build something. Today, I
I,
think we're gonna do a to-do list.
yeah.
Just something simple. Like, we'll have a database, we'll have a front end, we'll have a back end, we'll have some API calls in the middle. But on top of that, I have. It's not going to be this one. It's going to be a Raspberry Pi. I've got Ubuntu 24.10 installed. I'm going to be installing from just like a Raspberry Pi. I'm going
Yeah.
to stand up our deployment environment.
That's great.
Hopefully, see, we're gonna use Karifi.
Okay.
Karifi is just a little platform. It's the Cloud Foundry API that runs on top of Kubernetes, and we're just going to cry it. 0.14.0 came out just this week, and we're going to try to get that going on a single Raspberry Pi. I haven't gotten it working yet, so we're just going to do it live.
Yeah.
So
Let's
we're
do
going
it.
to do this in kind of like, like DevOpsy fashion. We're going to do both the developer and the ops, and we're going to come together. And we're going to use Spring Boot in the middle. We'll
Yeah.
do Spring Boot something. So how about this? How about this? How about
Yeah.
you start on the front end,
Okay.
and I'm going to start on the back end. I didn't go from scratch. I have Ubuntu because that's the longest install part. So I
Yeah.
have a single node Raspberry Pi that has Ubuntu on it, and I'm going to do some things to make Kubernetes work, and then to make Karifi work, so that we can then do other things. We'll get like some new cool networking capabilities,
Okay.
but we'll try to make it live. How does that sound?
I think that's great. And I think it's the past two times we've used Vue. I haven't used React in a while, and React 19 is pretty great. So I think
All right.
we should use that as part of the stack
So we're
today.
we're switching it up. We're switching it
Yeah.
up a little bit. That's
Yeah.
fantastic. Look at this. If you're joining us live, thank you. We're happy. Let us know where you're joining from, because my parents are always watching. We always have at least two viewers. My parents are always watching, and there's always at least one more. Like, so, hey, we're doing things. But look at who is here, Dan. We can deploy to production on Friday if we're properly focused, right? So you got to
Yes.
make sure that you get your energy drinks, get your coffee, whatever it is, because deploying on Friday, as much as I think that everybody should do it, just be careful.
Yeah.
That's it. Nobody wants to get called on the weekends. And if you've got nice tools, you've got nice systems in place, then yeah, it's completely okay to deploy on Friday. I
Yeah.
think we're safe. I think for this app, we're going to take it to production. I think we're safe. I don't think we have any worries about being called in on the weekend, because it's a Raspberry Pi. It's a single node
Yeah.
Raspberry Pi. What could possibly go wrong?
I don't know. We'll find it though.
I don't know. We'll probably run into it. Okay, good take. Dan, thank you so much for being here. My teammate, my co-host for Spring Office Hours, Dan Vega. Dan Vega is super popular. I don't know if you know this or not, but sometimes it's a little like humbling. I'm thinking like, hey, yeah, I walk into a place and like, do you know Dan? Is there any way that you could get a picture of Dan for me? Could I get
Uh,
Dan's autograph?
so they
Sure.
don't care about you as much. It's
Oh, they
mostly
just
Dan.
look right past me. Could I get Dan's autograph by any chance? Oh, yeah, that's great. That's great. He's very popular, and he's working on a new book. So I
Okay.
know that he's been heads down working on a book that's going to be awesome. So thanks for joining us, Dan. So what do you think? You wanna get started? We're gonna do a to-do list.
Yeah.
I should just step back. I should let Dan come in here and be able to do this while I go and do the stuff. But we're going to start on the front end.
Oh, we're going to start on the front end. All
Well,
right. Let's do
for
it.
anybody, yeah, let's go. Let's have fun.
Okay.
We're doing it live.
Uh, well, you know, in terms of decisions, what will the task payload be on the back end?
A to
It's
do
going to have
item,
like a name.
an ID. Yeah, just title, name,
Yep.
list, item, description.
Hmm.
Um, do we need a status?
I don't know.
Uh, yeah,
Because
like it's
or
either
is
done
this
or it's
going to
not.
be,
Done or
okay.
not.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah, and then item, just that. We don't even
Okay.
need. Let's just get it done. Just
Okay.
we can always add more
Add.
to it,
Yeah.
right? There's no point, and this is a good lesson. There's no point in like over engineering something. Adding more code adds
Hmm.
more risk, right? If we want to get something to production, like let's get just the things that we need. I need a to-do list. I
Yeah.
need to know if it's done or not.
All right. Well, if we're doing the front end, let's do it.
All right, I'm gonna let you share your screen, and
All
at that
right.
same time, I'll share my screen too. I'm gonna go like
Um,
this. I'm gonna say, hey, present. I'm gonna share screen.
we can
Uh,
both share. I thought we figured
nope,
out we
I'm just
couldn't.
I'll show what I'm doing first, and then
Okay.
I'll switch it back over to you.
Should I go ahead and start working on the app or
Yeah,
wait for it to start coming to me, like showing my screen?
here, yeah, like here. Yeah, wait for it. I'm gonna go over here at SSH this pi Corifi 00. Hmm? Maybe not. Oh, yeah, I'm in. All right. So here's where I'm at. I'm getting started. I'm going to go and, first of all, I'm going to make sure that everything's upgraded. Update. Because I want to be on n minus 0. Like, there's no point in doing this if we're just going to deploy it. Okay, let's just do apt upgrade. All right, this is just something that happens in production. A lot of times developers don't realize that there's a lot of stuff that has to go on. We got to make sure our systems are patched and secure. Wouldn't it be nice if we had a platform that did that for us?
Mm,
So hey, these are saved. There are updates, but they're saving it for the upcoming release. So it's phased, and they're not going to tell me to do it. So that's where I'm at. I'm starting from Ubuntu. I've just got a Ubuntu 2010 or 2410, and yeah, we'll go from here. So now I'll hand it back over to you
all
and I'll
right.
let you start driving. What I'm going to do, I'll interject every once in a while when I'm making progress or hitting a milestone, and then we'll go.
Yeah. Let's see. Entire screen. This one. All right.
There we go. All right, I'm bringing it
Removing
up.
that.
There we go.
So, like I said, it's been a minute since I've used React, so I've been reacquainting myself with it. 19 is pretty great. Initially, to kind of match how we did the Vue projects, I was planning on doing just straight React, but based on where the docs and what the docs are suggesting now, we're actually going to be using a React framework instead of just vanilla React. So we're going to be using Next.
I'm a fan
Um,
of frameworks.
I am too, and the logic is the reason they push us to choose a framework is because inevitably you're going to be recreating the wheel.
Yes, this does happen.
All
And
right.
even when there's a framework out there,
Yeah.
people like to use the framework and then, oh, I'm going to build a framework on the framework. I've seen that a lot.
Okay. So I've created our folder already. The way this starts is real simple. Using the same guide that I refamiliarized myself with. We're just going to be using this npx create next app at latest. And so I'm going to fire that up. And I'm going to call this just front end. I am going to use TypeScript.
go over here.
I
I'm
am
going
going
to
to
log
use
into
ESLint.
another thing so I can see.
Okay.
So I'm going to put our screen over here because I got the little screen up here. I'm going to put a big screen so I can actually see what you're doing.
Okay, yeah. And can
There
you
we
guys
go.
see my screen all right? Normally I have to make things bigger.
Yeah, and you know what? I can make us smaller too. I can. Maybe that'll help. Let's see. There we go. Yeah, I can see the screen much better now.
Okay. Okay, so yes, we're using Tailwind. Oh, I need to move back in here. Yes, we're using Tailwind. I want things in the source. I'm going to include the app router, though I don't really need it for this since this is something simple. And I am going to use TurboPack. So yes, no, I don't want to customize. All right, so now we are letting the Node package manager build out our project.
Oh, down there in the terminal. Hit the
Mhm.
little hide button at the bottom of your screen. We don't need that. That little, yeah, hide that. Oh, and go back there. There you go. Now we're cooking with gas.
Mm-hmm.
What kind of computer are you using today?
This is an old MacBook. Um,
Okay.
so I got laid off in July, and so I have been using my old machine from like, I don't know, 6 or 7 years ago.
Ooh.
Yeah.
So it's an Intel
Yeah.
based. Okay. All right. That's
All
good.
right.
I mean, that happens.
So
That's what we gotta do.
now we have our basic app. Just to make life easier, I'm going to use ShadCN again. Because we're using it with React, we can use the CLI. So the first thing we have to do is initialize ShadCN for the application.
Okay. I am cleaning up my Kubernetes context. I'm making it so that I can, yeah, move forward with a new Kubernetes context. It just takes a little bit of cleanup. That's what I'm doing.
Now let's do it. And I'm going to use New York. So these are just options with ShadCN. When they install things, it'll come through with certain theming.
Okay.
Yes. And then just because I know that these are going to be pieces that we're going to use, I'm going to go ahead and grab from ShadCN the button and input
Awesome.
components.
So I wrote a blog about installing Karifi on Raspberry Pis, but for that blog I had multiple nodes, and I still have that cluster running. So I'm trying to I'm going to use that blog that's over at DaShaun.com. I'm going to use that blog, and I'm going to try to go through it. But I'm upgrading because last week it was v0.13. This week it's v0.14. So I'm going to try to use the latest and greatest. Try to be on, where everybody should be. Nobody wants to install stuff that was released last week or last month. So that's what I'm trying to do. So I'm going to go and use the blog that I wrote last week or a couple weeks ago. I'm going to use that blog, but I'm going to upgrade and update it. So I'll share the steps that I'm doing, but I'll grab the screen and I'll just show everybody the steps as I do them. And that'll be my plan.
All right, so what I'm doing now is we've got React installed. We're gonna have an API call that's gonna return tasks, and then that'll be in some sort of array or iterable. And so I'm gonna go ahead and break down, the display of these tasks into 3 different components. This task display will be what we use to display it on the page. This component will be the actual list, and then this will be for the actual task.
I have one more question.
Let's hear it.
When I think of REST and CRUD, I've always had this CRUD plus L, CRUDL.
Okay.
A screen for creating a new one,
Mm-hmm.
reading,
Yep.
updating,
Yep.
deleting, and
Mhm.
listing. Those are
Yes.
kind of like my actions. They don't necessarily need to be all different views. Because sometimes, like when you're updating, maybe that's that same page that says, "Hey, update or delete."
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, are we covering all those? Create, read, update, delete, list.
Yes.
Fantastic. Fantastic.
All right, so we're going to make our first thing. So created the component. I'm going to go down here, do export it.
Oh, we have a request to increase the font size. Okay, I do like to watch these things on my lap or my phone sometimes. So sometimes, yeah, the font size.
I just bumped it up. Does that help, or would you like me to go bigger?
We'll see. We got it from Sisha Girl. We'll see. Hopefully that helps. Does that help?
I'll keep going. All right, so we've got our task component. We're going to pass through a task to it, and then we will display said task. So in this case, we'll just, we don't really know what it's going to be right now. Not what I meant to do. And I'm going to say, we said task title. Okay. And then I also want to create an interface for props. Right now, we're going to call it any. Okay. So that pretty well, oh, that was a task display. That's funny. Now we're going to do the task list. Copied and pasted from the task component I just created. So this one will take in tasks. It's going to be an array. And then for here.
And this is the component that you're making.
Yes.
Okay.
React, everything is components.
Okay.
So this component that I'm making, the first one I made was just the task, just to display whatever we're going to put in the task. And this is the thing that's going to list out all of the tasks. So it's breaking out the tasks object and then, routing it to the task component.
Okay.
Okay. Task. This is also going to be, I'm going to do, okay, that's what I want to do. Unordered list.
I'm going to try something. I'm going to see if I can share my screen at the same time.
Okay.
I cannot. All right, I'm going to try. I'll come back here. I'm going to try a different route.
Yeah, well, there's my problem.
Oh, that did not work. That's okay. Oh, I didn't mean to do that. You're back. You're back on the screen. I'm sorry about that. Technical difficulties.
Did it not work?
No, it looks, yeah, we can't add both screens. I have a way around that. We'll figure that out. but I'll just every once in a while when I'm making progress, I will bump over and I'll share. Uh, so yeah, you're
All right.
cruising.
So I'm just making components right now.
All right.
If
So
you've got something to
yeah,
show, this may be a good time for you to take over.
yeah, I will show where I'm at. I'm just going to show you like, hey, so I'll document all of this. I'm using a Raspberry Pi 5 that has 8 GB of memory. I put a, a USB stick in it this time. Last time I did this, I was just using SD cards. So it's just a little USB thumb drive that's fast. Hopefully it'll go faster. I have a cables. This is all the things that are connected to that device. And yeah, I also upgraded the power. So last time I didn't give it enough power. This time I've given it enough power. So that's where I'm at. So all these steps are done. Actually, I should go and make sure. Let me go and run this. I'm going to go to this machine, Pi Corifi 00. Some of the stuff I'll be doing. See this right here? This is a warning. Right? It says, hey, something happened on startup and we're not sure that you got enough power. So I'm going to run this command. Again, we're dealing with a low power, like $50 computer here. And this says I'm throttled. This is not good. This is concerning because I thought that I had enough power. So I'm going to have to like go and try something else. I'm going to have to and I bet you I know what it is. I think I have a monitor plugged in that I don't need to. So I need to give this thing enough power. I'm clearly not giving it enough power. If I have enough power, that'll say 0x0, and right now it doesn't. So let me go and re-swizzle, and then, yeah, I'm going to turn it back to you until I get this fixed, and then I'll come back. We got to have
Okay.
power.
Yeah, power is important.
All right. You're driving. I'm gonna step into the closet over there, and I'm going to
Yeah.
fiddle some wires like true data center folks do. I'll be right back.
Wow. All right, guys. So I am just mocking out some data right now while we're waiting on the API to be usable. Creating some tasks that I can pass through. So in this case, we'll do table list. Oh yeah, I gotta do that. Task list.
All right, I changed out my cords. Question from Daniel. Is the functional component just your preference or basically standard anyway?
The functional component is standard anyway to React. I'm using ES6 where most of their docs, you can use a function if you prefer.
All
But
right,
let me know if that answers your question or not.
fantastic.
But it's pretty much how React works. All their components are pure functions.
I swapped out the cable. Not all USB cables are able to provide 5 watts, 5 amps of power. So I'm hoping that this new cable
It's a quick
works.
fix.
So that's what I'm doing. And that machine's still not up after the reboot. We'll see. We'll see. Yeah, I built this cluster over the break with Raspberry Pi 5s and the 8 GB version. And the day after I published my blog saying, hey, here's how I did it, the 16 GB versions of the Raspberry Pi 5 came out. And this is very similar. It was just like a couple of months ago. I bought a Mac M3. And the day that I got back, they'd announced the Mac M4s. This has just kind of been my luck. So if you're ever hoping for some computer brand to come out with a new version. Yeah, just tell me to do a demo. And with the hardware that I buy, the next day or the next week, that computer brand will come out with some new hardware. That just seems to be the way that it works. Daniel's response is, yeah, that's fine. Thanks. I've seen some class components a while ago and wasn't sure if they're still used.
Class components are kind of outdated. That is originally how React was made, though, with class components.
Got it. Yeah, there's always these trends in software, and that's one of the important things that I try to do. I try to keep people employable, right? I want to make sure that people are doing the latest and greatest, so that when they get into an interview, they know, like, hey, right? Wouldn't it be nice, Daniel? If you get asked that interview question, is do you prefer functional or classes? And you could be like, hey, it seems, from my perspective, that the class approach for components is a little outdated. That's the way things started, but what I'm seeing is more functional components. Right? That's all we're trying to do. We're trying to help.
All right, so I've created the 3 components that we're going to use. I'm now going to go to the page. Sorry, my cat's on my desk.
Yeah, and this Raspberry Pi, for some reason, is not responding. Like, it's already taken like 120 seconds. All I did was switch out the power. I wonder why that is.
Gremlins.
Yeah, hold on one sec.
All right, so I just cleared out the next homepage that was generated for us. Here, I'm going to put in the task display.
Fiddle some wires.
Yeah.
Push some buttons. Or maybe I need to
Hit it? Have you hit
turn
it?
it off and turn it back on again. That's one of the cool new features of the new Raspberry Pis is they have a power button. They didn't have a power button before.
That seems useful.
Yeah, like even the cases have a little button for the power now, so you can reboot. Because if you didn't have a power cable that had a power button on it, you were having to like unplug it and plug it back in. Like nobody wants to do that.
All right, so we got our web server spun up.
Fantastic. I'm gonna go and fiddle some wires again.
Okay. There we go. So the task is, or the display is happening as we expect. We passed through the task name, and it's showing up in a list. I think from here is just kind of trying to make it look better and incorporating some form action into it. So let's think here. Let's go to display and do H1. It's all being vertically centered. That's fine.
So one of the things that I'm very guilty of is power. A lot of people, power is an important factor. Some of the stuff that I might run in my home lab here in Kansas City might not be cost effective in some places, some states, some countries. So I really do care about power consumption. So what I did here was I had another device plugged into the same power hub. It's USB is what I'm driving. And I just unplugged the other device. So it was just a monitor. It wasn't plugged into anything, but it might have been drawing some power and affecting the output. So here, I guess we'll see here locally. Still not up. I'm trying. I'm going to grab the screen and I'll show you like, hey, it is not responding. This is not good. So this might be the worst ever show ever.
Yeah, we found the thing though.
We did?
Yeah, this. No, I'm just saying we didn't know what would derail us today, but we
Oh
found it.
yeah, what could possibly go wrong? I guess we found it. We found it. But I'm not going to give up. I'm committed to doing this. I also learn a lot from how other people troubleshoot. So I assume that anybody that's here likes to hear how other people work through things. Uh, I enjoy watching other people live stream. I enjoy watching other people work on things. And I'm honestly, I learn more when it doesn't go as planned. I learn more watching other people when I learn how they attack problems, when I learn how they do their problem solving. That's how I learn more. So I wish that I could be better. I wish I knew all the things. But when I don't, and when things don't go as planned or as I hoped, then I'm just really comfortable trying to think out loud and sharing the things that I do to try to make things work. Because hopefully somebody's going to be wanting to take this for a spin. They've got a Raspberry Pi that's not doing anything, and they're like, maybe I'm going to deploy some React and Spring Boot app so that I can do a to-do list. It's always a good idea to have stuff running in production that you can point to. It's always fun. Daniel says, oh, that's a big point, DaShaun. Since I work alone often, I really do enjoy seeing problems being solved differently, in a different way. Yeah. Also, a lot of us are working remote. I have monitors here that are up so that when I'm working, not when I'm live streaming, when I'm working on other things, I like to have Twitch. I like to have somebody else streaming, a Josh, a Dan doing one of Dan's videos. I like to have those things on another screen just to like have that passive learning, right? I remember, even if I don't remember exactly how to solve it, I know that I watched Dan Vega do a video on that, and I know that he talked about that exact thing. Let me go find the video, and then I have a place to start. That's always nice. I still don't have a working Raspberry Pi. This is awkward.
Well, if we pivot, what are our options?
I mean, we don't have to do Raspberry Pi. We can keep on going because one of the other beliefs that I have, one of the other opinions, defaults, is we want to be able to run things locally. Like we don't have to have that. That's for production. We can do that later. Let's get things working locally. How are things going on your end? Should I maybe start a Spring Boot app?
Yeah, things are going great. I think it's just a bunch of typing and getting all the content on there.
All right.
So I'm just setting up all the components, making sure everything's tidy. Uh, if you have something to show,
I mean, like typing is good. What we have to
okay.
do is we got to talk it out.
Yes.
We got to say like, I'm doing this because. So
All right.
I'll drive. I'm on the same screen. I'm going to go to start.spring.io because this is a good place to start. And this again, this is just the initializer. So I'm gonna be working on the back end, and I'm gonna choose Java and I'm gonna choose Maven. And Spring Boot 3.4.2 just came out yesterday, so I'm gonna go ahead and use that. And what do we call this show? Stack of the week.
Stack of the week.
Are we.io?
Yes. Wait. Yeah.
Do we have a domain here? Do we
I
have a
don't know that we
.com?
do.
Why don't we? Why don't we have something?
We just haven't
Uh,
thought of it
so
yet.
yeah, what did I call these things before? Let's go ahead and let's look at our palm because maybe I did. IO. So we're stackoftheweek.io, and this will be a service. That's my naming convention, and this is our task service. So we'll call it good. I want to use Java 23, but I don't know if Java 23 is supported in. Well, I'm going to choose it anyways, just because I want to be on the latest and greatest. So things that I'm going to put in this backend service, I'm going to put in actuator. I always start with the actuator because I want to know, like, are things good or not? Should we use Redis? Because I like Redis. So if I'm going to use Redis, I don't think I need that one. I think I can just use this. What is the difference here? Let's see what it does. And what else do I need? What else do I want? Oh, you know what else? Let's make it native because we're on a little tiny little Raspberry Pi. Uh, we hope that that works. Is there anything else that I can think of? Oh, you know what else might be fun? Let's do REST docs. Let's document the backend. So let's generate this. So we have a task. And I'll show you how I like to organize things so that machine's still not up. I like to put the work that I do in fun. And there should be a stack of the week here. So let's unzip that file that we just did. Nope. Task. So now we have a task directory. And what we always do is we're always going to show and share. Like here's our repo. So no matter where we finish, if we finish, we're always going to share our code because we want you to be able to like play along with us and have fun. So now we have a project. So before I do anything, I just want like, hey, are we gonna work? So let's do one other piece. I like to use SDKman. So I have SDKman installed on all my machines. I will point to that sdkman.io. This allows me to switch between my different Java versions, right? But also I like to like stay up to date, like SDK list Java, and I'm going to show just the ones that I have installed. So I've got a handful of Java versions installed. It looks like I have 23.0.1 is the latest version that I have installed of Java 23. Now let's do SDK list Java, and let's see. I like Liberica. It looks like there's a 23.02. I'm embarrassed, right? I'm not embarrassed. Like this is just part of it. We want to be on the latest and greatest versions. This is what I like to do. So this is like my first step is like, let me make sure that I'm on the latest and greatest. And I like to do these things a lot. So let's do SDK install Java 23.0.2-librca. That's going to install that 23.0.2 Liberica onto my machine. But I'm not using 23.02. Watch this. Like when I do, it's going to ask me, do you want to make it default? No. But when I do, let me bump that up too so you can see it nice and clear. I'm going to say Java-version. I'm using, I wasn't even defaulted to 23. I'm using 21.0.5. But now to switch, SDK use Java 23.0.2-librca. Now, when I do Java-version, I'm using 23.0.2. That's nice. Oh, but I already made a mistake. SDK list Java. I would like to use the native image kit. I want to do native images so I can have a smaller image file, smaller footprint, take less memory, right? I'm running on a Raspberry Pi, so I want the smallest image. So in order to do that, I want to use the native image kit. So let's look and see if I can get Liberica. We want R23 with the native image kit. So that's local. Oops. From here, I want, I think this one, 24.1.1, which is the latest version of the Java 23 with the native image kit. So I'm good, but I'm going to switch to this. And I'm going to do one more thing. SDK use Java, this version with the native image kit. And the question here is SDK Liberica have minimum size? No. I don't know. That's a better answer. I don't know. But by using the native image toolkit, I can make a smaller image for what I take to production. So let's do that first. Great question, by the way. Thank you so much for being here. Why don't you say hello to everybody and tell us where you're joining from while I walk through this step. I'm going to do nvnw spring boot run. I'm going to run this. And it's going to go download all the things, make sure that we're good. We're running Spring Boot 3.4.2 and nothing happened. Oh, you know why? Because I didn't give it web. I have these things in the background, but I didn't give it anything to run with. So let me add web, and let's do that step again. Generate, or I didn't need to do that. Watch, I can just do this. The only thing I need to do is add this dependency. Boop. So let's do that. Wait, did I open up my IDE? Yeah, I can do it here. I can do it for real. So here in my dependency list, there's my dependencies. Let's throw the web in there. Now it'll actually do something. I'm gonna do it over here just because it's bigger. And let's try that again. So now that I have the web container, I have a Tomcat instance. Now it's up and running. All right, so I have this process 9653. Let's go check something out. New tab here. What is the one for Mac? BM map. BMap. Oops. Here. BM map. And I'm going to grab that process ID 9653. And I wanted to look at just the, there's just one that I want to look at. Total or summary. Please hold. Where? I'm trying to show like, hey, how much this is using, but I have another way. I'm gonna go run this command. I don't have like the real like cool like github.com because I don't remember it. DaShaun, open, read, write. Oh, I have a repository in here that has the command to run. Let's take a look at that. Open, rewrite. In this, I'm looking for the command that says, hey, here's how much memory I'm using. And it use show memory. So we're going to do this. Zoinkity zoink. Can I do that? No, I got to do this first. Boop. Oh, I have to give it that process ID. What did I say it was? 9653. 9653. What? So this number is bytes. If I do that divided by 124, scale equals 1. So do this. Zoink. We'll change this number to 196944. All right, 192.3 megabytes. That's how much we're using right now. All right, if we're trying to look at what we're doing, how much memory, when you're talking minimum size, there's two things. There's the size of what we're doing on disk, and then there's also the size of what we're doing in memory. So right now, this Java process, right, this one, 9653, is using 192.3 megabytes. Cool, that makes sense, right? Hopefully. So now let's go one step further, and let's talk about why did I use the Liberica NIC, and I'll show you, hopefully. Let's do mvnw. I'm going to do -p native compile. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take a little bit more time. I'm going to compile this ahead of time processing. I'm going to compile it into a native image. So let's go. Let's see. Of course it'll work. What this is going to do, this is going to analyze all the bits of code, the bytecode. I'm going to draw a picture even. I'm going to show you the picture that I always like to draw. This is just a nice little review. Boop. Boop. So with Java, we get bytecode. And that bytecode runs on a JVM. And that JVM, that bytecode will run on any operating system where it has a JVM. Right? This is what we've had. This was the promise of Java, way back in 1995, right? Right? Java's 30 years old this year. Bytecode, anywhere that bytecode runs, I can take it to any JVM and it will run on any operating system anywhere. You cannot do that with a lot of languages. So what we're doing now, we're going to take a little journey back in time. And what happened with Java 1.3, Java 1.3, the hotspot VM said, hey, I noticed that this little bit of bytecode that you were doing, oops, let's not do that one. Let's do this one. This little bytecode that you're doing, it was hot. Let me do this. Like this was hot. All right. And then let's change this. What we're going to do as the hotspot JVM all the way back in 1998 with Java 1.3, what we're going to do is we're going to optimize that little bytecode that's really hot that you're accessing all the time. We're going to optimize that all the way down to the operating system and architecture that you're working on. So that was included in the JVM. You know, your code's going along and it's like, oh, this takes a long time. And I'm doing this a lot. The JVM said, hey, instead of doing that all the time, I see that you're running here. Let me optimize that down to the operating system and architecture. We were doing that all the way back in 1998. Is that right? 1998? Yeah. The team over at Graal Labs, they came up with the Graal VM. And that Graal VM, what it does is it takes and it looks at all of that bytecode. So ahead of time, it's looking at all of that bytecode and says, you know what? I think I can do the same thing that the hotspot JVM did. I think I can send this over here. And instead of bytecode, where I need a JVM, I'm going to create a green and optimize static linked native binary. But what does that mean? That means that what I generate here is only going to run on this operating system and architecture. So what does that mean? For minimizing the size, I don't need a JVM. All I need is this statically linked binary. And you know what else? This binary, for all the dependencies that I pull in for the bytecode, if I'm not using that code, it doesn't show up over here. It throws away all the code that I don't need. It changes things. I can't do like the dynamic class loading. I can't change properties at runtime. If I have those dependencies on the class path, I can't now start to use them because I did this at build time. I've optimized for the setup that I have that I'm taking to production. And now that statically linked native binary is going to result in a much smaller image. And I can show you that here in a sec. So it took 1 minute and 47 seconds to generate this task, which is a trade-off because remember, it was analyzing all that bytecode. But what we got wasn't just from the bytecode, it pulls in what it needs from the JVM, from Tomcat that was running. It pulls all that into the static linked native binary. So you have bits from your app, you have bits from Tomcat, and you have bits from the JVM that are all included in this little file called task. So let's leave our target task. And that file is, let's do it with an H, so it's human readable, is 115 megabytes. So the file that I'm taking to production, this one task image, this thing is 115 megabytes. So that layer of what I take to production is 115 megabytes. Let's see what else we have in target. We have this jar file. Now this jar file, you're saying like, well, the jar file is smaller. Let's do that H on there. So it's human readable. That jar file is only 33 megabytes. What gives, DaShaun? Why are you telling me that this static linked native image is smaller than this jar file that I would take to production? Here's why. Because you also, if you're using the jar file in production, you also have to have a JVM. Okay. Hey, that's great. But could I run the native output, which build on Mac, on Linux? Yeah, I'll show you. We do that here, mvnw spring boot build image. I'm going to build a container. You've heard of containers. Like one of the things that we said at the beginning of the show is we think that everybody has access to Docker. And that's all that I need. But this time, instead of just, actually, I'm going to do both. I'm going to build an image this way, bytecode, JVM, architecture. I'm going to build an image. Let's let it cook. That's what my kids say. Let it cook. Let it cook. So I didn't have to do anything. I'm not building Docker files. You don't have to build Docker files. Build an OCI image. Let Spring Boot, let Spring Team take care of it for you. You'll have all of the best benefits included in that, oh, we even got a latest version of that build pack. The build pack creates an OCI image that you can take to production. And because it's an OCI image, you can run it anywhere that you've got Docker. But now you're saying, but hey, isn't that Mac machine ARM64? Because this is one of the things I put. It's not just the operating system. It's also the architecture. And this is the machine that I'm on. It's a Mac, but it's an M1. It's ARM64. So how am I gonna build ARM64 and then take it to production on AMD 64? How am I gonna do that? Right? I know that you were asking yourself that, but here's what we're doing. This image, oh boy, this is embarrassing. What happened? Unable to invoke layer, unable to, it's pulling down that arch. It's saying, hey, unable to get dependency sift. Well, that's not supposed to happen. What happened? This is, oh, wait, no, I'm not on M4. This is a easy peasy thing. Status code 51. Let's do this. Let's do MBW clean. MBW clean. Let's switch JVMs because we have SDK man. We can do that. SDK use Java 21 or 23.0.2 Liberica. And let's try this again. This is embarrassing. What should have happened? I'm just coming off break. I'm making excuses. What we should get here is we should get an ARM64 image that can run on ARM64 Linux. That's the whole idea. I'm on ARM64. I'm building ARM64. I've got a multi-architecture build pack under the covers. So I can build images for ARM64 or for AMD 64. So I can run these anywhere. So here, my image, I've got it. Let's do Docker images, pipe grep task. Here, my image is 271 megabytes. So that OCI image, that Docker image that I'm taking to production is 271 megabytes. Are you following me? Now, let's do the same thing. Let's build a Docker image. But now we're going to do native. We're going to build it this way. So this one was, what did we say? 271 megabytes. 271 MB. Now we're going to build it with the native. It's going to take a little bit longer, but let's see. Let's just see what happens. Hopefully this makes sense. But because it's an OCI image, I can take it wherever I need to go. But, right, the ARM64 image will not run on AMD 64. So, then what? Then what do you do? I'll show you. And thank you so much for asking the question, because it's a good question. And it's one of my favorite features in Spring Boot 3.4. I can build multi-architecture images. So I can build an image to run on AMD 64 from my ARM64 image and vice versa. So it's going to take a little bit of time. But we can see here, it pulled down 23.0.1, but the NIC version, right? So I can do the native images, even though I'm using 23.01, not NIC version, in the build pack because I gave it that pnative, that argument, use this profile. Now it's pulling down the native image toolkit so I can build a native image. This is fun stuff. So I haven't done any code yet. I built an app, but because it's Spring Boot, it's an app that I can take to production right now. I don't have a whole lot of work. And you know what we'll do? We will switch to another cluster that we have that's running Karifi. Well, we'll call it our dev cluster, and we'll deploy it there. So hopefully that answers your question. I can do this. And whether you're running Mac OS on ARM64 or Linux on ARM64, or you're running Linux on AMD 64, we can do a build. And not only that, we can do a native build. We can compile it, optimize it, even for another architecture because of the power of build packs. Right? Spring Boot 3.4. by default includes a multi-architecture build pack. Wow. Done. Like that's awesome. So I can build for Linux, ARM64, Linux, AMD 64. Let's go back. Let's check on our status. All right, so it took 2 minutes and 23 seconds, but now, I didn't rename it. I should have given it a different name so that we could have them both side by side, but we'll do the same thing. Now my image is only 152 megabytes. So the first time it was 271. Good thing we wrote that down. This one is only 152 megabytes. So if you're worried about disk space, if you're worried about the size of the containers that you're taking in production, this is a big deal. But not only that, the process, right? The first time we ran it, it was, let's do it again. Let's do this. MVNW, Spring Boot run. Here's our process ID. Let's go and see how much that is. And then do that. 19. Oh, it's even less. 4528. 189.9 megabytes. 189.9 MB RAM. So now let's go over here and let's build a native image. Just showing, just comparing, giving you some things to think about the next time that you're trying to go to production on a Friday, right? We do it on a Friday for a reason, because deploying on Friday is cool. You just got to be focused. I see that Will just took a drink of his coffee. So this time I'm going to switch back to my other version, SDK. Not that one. Hello, that one. We're going to use the one that has the nick, mvnw-p native compile. We're going to build this locally. And I'm going to answer my good friend. I would like to keep my job. I love my job. I love what I do. So what I'm going to do is I got a ping from one of my teammates. I'm going to go answer their question real quick. And the question, just for you, was about Spring Security. Spring Security's context going through reactive and non-reactive blocking services. How do you keep that context passing through in all the situations? That's what the question is about. And I've got a good friend, Steve Riesenberg, who is on the Spring Security team. He lives up the way, not too far. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell my friend Scott that we should reach out to Steve. We should reach out to Steve Riesenberg on the Spring Security team. I think he will have a good answer. There we go. So I'm helping my teammates out, but I'm still here with you. We're building a native image, and I'm going to show you why you might want to consider using raw VM, depending on where you're going to production. I mean, especially if you're going to production on a Raspberry Pi, right? Then you might want to consider this. So that's what we'll do. It's taking a little bit longer than normal because we're doing a stream on the same machine, and we're trying to, keep those videos out. So I'm going to do this last thing. I'm going to do this comparison. I'm going to start it up and compare the memory of how much memory it's using when it's running, and then I'll switch it back to you. How does that sound, Will?
I think that's great.
I like showing this. I show this a lot. I'm glad. I wasn't planning on showing all this today, but you asked great questions. Oh, look at Daniel. Daniel's like, hey, isn't Rob Winch on the Spring Security team as well? Maybe even the lead? I love watching his content. Great guy. Well, absolutely. He is a Spring Security lead. He is amazing. And he's also right down the way. But this question was specifically about OAuth 2. And, Rob being the Spring Security lead and being right down the way, yeah, I just know he's busy. And I know that Steve's busy as well, but I've had recent conversations around this with Steve, so it might be top of mind. That's the only reason why I said, hey, let's reach out to Steve. So yeah, awesome. We are so lucky to have the team that we have on Spring Security. And Good note. So that took 1 minute and 58 seconds, but now let's run this one. Let's run target task, and it starts up way fast. Another benefit, if we go up, we're gonna be able to see how long the other one, the startup took 1.48 seconds before, and now the startup took 0.151 seconds. That's quite a big difference, right, in startup time. But here's our process. Let's go check how much memory is it using. Whoops. How much memory is it using? So we're going to go here. We'll do this. And then we'll plug that number in here. 116688. So that's not as big of a difference as I thought. Typically it's a much bigger, oh, I know why. Because we've added. So I'm just doing a different demo. But the difference between 189.9 megabytes and 113.9 megabytes, is that something that you would like to take to production? That's a big difference, right? So do you want to go to production with 189.9 megabytes or 113.9 megabytes? Get the same output, right? It's the same Spring Boot app, production ready, enterprise grade Spring Boot app. So it's up to you. So that's why I'm doing native images. Wait, let's put our number here just so we have it for longevity. 113.9 megabytes. Hello. Disk and 113.9. So those are, that's side by side. That's what it is. That's how things operate. And you can do these types of experiments, right? You can validate these types of things. I like to say that there's JVMs are one size fits most, but there's a lot of JVMs to choose from. SDK list. There are a lot of JVMs to choose from, and there's a lot of versions to choose from. Why not be on the latest, greatest version of the JVM? We get a new one every 6 months, but do a little bit of analysis. Don't just pick one and say, oh, yeah, this is gonna be the best for everything, because it's not. One size fits most. But there are definitely gonna be times where you're gonna wanna switch JVMs because those 2 milliseconds, that 1.3 seconds of startup time, that's gonna matter, right? So know that you have tons of options. Oh yeah, maybe you need a terabyte of RAM for your JVM. Maybe you need a terabyte of heap for your JVM. You might want to, you might want to squeeze out a couple more milliseconds in whatever you're doing. So I'll turn it back over to you, Will. This is good. And you know what else? My feet hurt. I'm gonna sit. So I'm gonna bring your screen back up. You give us an update, and I'm gonna sit down. I'm gonna lower this screen. I don't have my mat where I'm supposed to.
All right. So here we are. This is kind of what I've been working on so far, is just getting like the base layout ready for us.
That looks awesome. I'm gonna look at it on the bigger screen here.
Yeah, here, I can full size it.
There we go. Okay. Oh,
so
cooking.
I've added some buttons. So for instance, the thing I was just working on is this add button showing the new form.
Okay, take us through what you've done. Show us the code.
All right.
We want to see the code. Show us what you've done.
All right, so let's go back to the task display. And this is the main component that houses all of this. Well, so now that we have this add new form, I needed to include some state just so I know whether or not to be showing the form or not.
Okay, how did you do that?
So what do you mean?
Where is the state kept?
It's right here. So
okay.
State, in this case, I'm just keeping it with the component as opposed to making it something that's globally available.
Okay.
So, and I haven't done, the fetch task or anything like that yet.
Okay.
But basically, this is telling React, this is our state. So the property is show add task. And then the function to actually set it is here. And so what I have here on the button for add is when there's a click, it sets the show add task to true. as part of what I'm doing in the new task, I'm also going to have an on-click event that takes away the new task and re-shows this button
Okay.
once we submit or whatever.
All right.
So let's keep
You
going through this.
Yeah, you keep
What's up?
going, and I'm gonna go fiddle a button to see if I can get a pie machine, and if not, that's okay. I will come back, and I'll keep on going on the back end.
Okay. I don't normally like to use my set properties within like inline, but because this is just a simple button, I'm leaving it as is.
Okay.
Then here, let's see the code. I'm still using our dummy tasks, and it breaks down into an unordered list, and so those are our rows. And then each task
I'll be
has
right
a
back.
title.
Keep going.
What other properties did we say? I said ID title is completed. Oh, he left. All right. So then we have the task. Just to keep things tidy, I'm moving the task. I made a task actions component, which has the buttons and will also, handle any of the actions. We're passing through the ID so that I'm assuming that will be how we call the API. And each of these will probably necessitate, like this will probably need to be a form. And then, so this is essentially this. There's not a whole lot to say. I'm working on more like the inner workings versus styling right now. Wanting to get all like the animations and whatnot effective before I really dig into putting everything where it needs to be. Okay, so let's go back to that form. Okay, so once again, it's been a minute since I've used React. So I'm going to look up child to parent communication. Well, let's just try it and see what happens. So normally I would go into the end. Let's see, what am I trying to do? Task actions, task. Oh yeah, that's what I'm trying to do. So then the save, add new task.
You know what I think happened on my side?
What's that?
I think my machine got a new IP address.
Ooh.
So I've been trying to ping this IP address, and it may have changed. So I'm going to try to fix that real quick. Again, DHCP is all I'm using. I'm not doing anything fancy with the networking. I've got Ubiquity equipment, and let's go see if I've got a device called Picarifi. I do. No, it says I have this IP address. Oh, and there it goes. Okay, so I'm gonna grab the screen from you for just a sec.
Please do.
And now I'm actually touching this machine. This is great. So we're connected. But now let's go check and see if we have power. Remember, that was the whole reason we did this mess. I do have a different power plug USB cord that I hope is supporting 5 watts, 5 amps. But let's go see. PyCorefi CC, oh no, PyCorefi 00, E00. Let's go see if our command actually works. It was not those. That's clear. So I still have this warning, but we're going to go and grab this command from here. That is the command that I hope is going to tell us that we're not throttled. All right, let's run it. Let's see. We're not throttled. We're not throttled. We're not throttled. Tiago, you might be surprised, but this is not Josh that's with me over here. This is Will Knowles. But we're still happy to see you. I will tell Josh that you say hi, but we're here. We're doing full stack stuff. We're going to take an app. We're going to build an app, a to-do list. We're going to use React and Next.
We're using Next.
On the front end, we're building some components, just a simple task list. We're going to put a Spring Boot app behind it. This might sound familiar, but we're actually going to deploy it to production. See, we're running on a single Raspberry Pi, a Raspberry Pi 5 that we have up and running, and that we just proved that it has enough power, so we're in good shape. So now we're going to do some next steps. So thanks for joining. Where are you from? And hang out. Let's see what we're going to do. I have a node. So let's go back. Everything else I'm going to do from this machine. And I'm going to do it from a different directory. Fun, DaShaun, dev, Corefi Pi. Because I did this before. I'm using this old blog. Oh, I got to put in my passwords. And what that is doing is I have this file here that says, hey, I want to set up my environment, but what I don't want to do is I don't want to have passwords on my file system, especially when I'm doing a live stream. So what I've done is I've said, hey, let's cat that envrc. This is my environment. This is what I'm setting up. But in this environment, this is an important password that I don't want to share. Like everything else is cool, but I don't want to share this password. So when I come into this directory, I'm forced to put in my nice long password. So it's in my environment, but it's not on disk anywhere. Like if somebody gets access to this computer, they're not going to be able to find all my passwords because my passwords are not on the computer. So that's what we're doing. So one of the things that I learned as I was trying this before is I was following the install instructions for Corefi install. And all of the Corefi install instructions, they say, hey, use this admin username. So what I was having to do is I had this same username, but for different Kubernetes contexts, and it was causing a problem. I was having to do all this fancy dancing. So I've learned, I'm going to try to do better. So what I'm going to do this time is I'm going to change this username from cfadmin. I'm going to call it PyCorefi because I'm going to change the Kubernetes context. So I'm doing that. And because I made a change to that file, I've got to say dir-env allow, and then I got to put in my password again. There we go. So now my environment has all the things in it. So now all I'm doing is I'm going to step through. Here's my environment set up. Oh, just kidding. I don't have Kubernetes installed. So all I have is a machine. So we're here. We tested it. We're good. We've already installed Ubuntu. We did all the updates and we rebooted. So now we're going to do this. We are going to install using K3sup, which is what I use all the time. We're going to install it. I'm going to use a different IP here. And I can actually do that from anywhere. So let's just do it right here. Let's say K3sup install IP 10, no, what did I say it was? 10.99.1.18. Let's go look. That looks right. Let's use that one. User is DaShaun, and that's when I set up Ubuntu, that's the username on that machine is DaShaun, and it already has an SSH key installed. That was part of my Ubuntu install. And I'm gonna give it a couple of extra things. I'm just gonna copy the rest of this. I'm gonna tell it, hey, I don't want traffic because I get Contour for my ingress. I'll get that. And I'm going to say, just put this into my local kube context. So give it to me locally. And I'm naming it PyCarifi, the same name that I did on my my CF admin, where I replace CF admin, PyCarifi. So what this is doing, this little nice tool called K3SUP or Ketchup, it's SSHing into that box. It's installing K3S. It's giving me a Kubernetes cluster. It's doing all the things, all the installs on that tiny little Raspberry Pi to give me a Kubernetes cluster. So cool. I could say that, but I'm gonna say kubectx PyCarifi to switch to that PyCarifi context, because I got a lot, right? If I do kubectx, we'll see I've got a lot of Kubernetes clusters that I have access to. And then the next thing I'm gonna do is kubectl git nodes -o wide, and I'll see that I've got a Kubernetes cluster, a single node Kubernetes cluster running on this machine, PyCarifi 00, the one that we had all the trouble with because it didn't have enough power. It's only got an internal IP. It does not have an external IP. So there's no external IP port forwarded to this. There's nothing that's coming in. You cannot access this machine. There is no external IP. It has an internal IP only. We'll get to that again later. But now I've got a Kubernetes cluster. And I can say kubectl git pods -a. I can see that it's just Kubernetes. It is bare Kubernetes. I asked for all the pods running in all of the namespaces, and it's been up for 54 seconds. We're doing it live. So now that I have a Kubernetes cluster, even though it's one machine, now I can keep on going. And now I'm going to scoot. I already did this. I already showed you that. Now, I've already done this too. I'm just going through the install steps of installing Carifi because we have a new version. So I used the Docker Hub. So we're going to do the install cert manager. I'm going to just peek over here because I want to be on the latest and greatest. I'm going to peek and it says 1.16.3 is the latest version. Let's go and grab and let's see if we got 1.16. Okay, so that looks good. I'm going to run that. But what I'm going to do down here is I'm going to switch to the, actually I'll do it over here because I already have my context here. Nope, here. I'm going to install cert manager and it's done. Let's do this over here. Let's do K9s. We're looking at that Kubernetes cluster. We're looking at the pods. We're going to bump it down a little bit so you can see all the goodness, see all the columns. And at this point, cert manager is good. We're looking at all the pods. I hit 0 in all the namespaces. And we can see cert manager has been running for 25 seconds. Kubernetes has been up for 2 minutes. We're in good shape. We're going to keep on going. I'm going to go a little bit fast here. Again, this is me taking notes of the steps that I've been running. Back here, it says install cert manager, install KPack. Let's go look and see what's the latest version because I want to be on the latest version. 0.16.1 looks like that was released last week, so we're in good shape, I think. If I go grab this line, which has 0.16.1, let's go run that. Oop. Now this is the interesting part. I am running on a Raspberry Pi, which is ARM64, but KPack does not have ARM64 images. Remember, like it's 2025. A lot of you already have Mac, Apple Silicon, which is built on top of ARM64. A lot of you already have that. A lot of you have Raspberry Pis, also ARM64. Some of you might even have, where did it go? I have another, oh, here it is. Some of you might even have one of these. And this is what we're going to build on next time. Some of you might have one of these Jetson Nano Orens, the new hotness that has all the GPU stuff. You might have, it's also ARM64, but we could do this exact same thing on one of these. It's going to be like 10 times more expensive, 500 instead of 50. But right, if you want to do AI is not cheap. So I want to show you what happened. What does this mean? It says, hey, I don't know how to run this. I pulled down, and we can actually go and look at the error, which will give you a hint. No, actually, let's do it this way. I'm going to hit D for describe. And I'm going to go down here, and it's going to say something about the executable being the wrong format. Events. Pulling successfully pulled. Back off restarting failed. I want to. It says that image. Where's the part where it said, "Hey, this is the wrong executable"? I want to show you the error. Oh wait, am I looking at the wrong thing? That's the controller. Oh, there it is. Exec format error. Exec format error. It pulled down an AMD 64 image and it's running on ARM 64. So how do we fix that? Well, I got a fix for you. You see, I made this little daemon set that installs this bin format setup. I want to show you where I got that. Docker's been able to build multi-architecture for a long time. Docker multi-arch bin format, or just build X. Here we go. Bin format. So I'm just using the image that installs all of the emulation tools. And I'm going to install this. If I'm on AMD 64 wanting to build ARM 64 or run ARM 64 images, I use this same image. It has all the tools I need. If I'm on I'm on AMD 64, I want to do ARM 64, I do the same thing. It has multi-architecture support. So what I'm doing is I'm not going to run it privileged. I'm setting it up so that this image runs on every node as a daemon set. So that's here. That's what the YAML looks like. Again, it'll be in the blog post that I share, but let's go over here. It's in this directory, which I'm not afraid to share here. So what we're going to do is kubectl apply -f, this bin format, which again deploys all the emulation that we need. We pull down an AMD 64 image to run on Raspberry Pi. And what we're going to tell this Raspberry Pi to do now is, not only do I want you to run this thing, but I want you to run emulation. I want you to emulate an AMD 64 processor and then run it on a $50 computer. We're doing this. So let's kubectl apply, and it's there. So now let's go watch. Let's watch, because again, fingers crossed, what could possibly go wrong? Now that we've got this daemon set running, now the next time that this restarts, it should go green. It should become a status running. But who knows? It might fail. Things change all the time. So it's always good. I like getting these reps. And I'm being completely selfish here, right? Karifi is a project that I love. I love Cloud Foundry. I love being able to CF push and get new things. And I'm being selfish. I'm being selfish because I'm like, hey, we're going to build this on Karifi because a new version came out, so let's just do it live. Hey, that's just how I roll. But you could too, right? I'm giving you a really cool experience on a $50 computer, and we're going to build an app, and we're going to show you that I'm not just like smoke and mirrors. We're building it from scratch, all the way from scratch, and we're going to have an app that's running in production here, hopefully within the next 35 minutes, but who's counting? So, come on, Raspberry Pi, don't embarrass me. All my friends are here, and I really just need you to come through for me. I've given you all the tools. It hasn't restarted yet. It's only restarted 5 times. So I don't think it'll have to restart 6 times. I think we're going to have to, or maybe it'll be 6, but not 7. Like, we just need to come on. We're going to wait for this. We want KPAC. We need KPAC. That's part of what we're doing here, because you don't want to build Docker files. Friends don't let friends use Docker files. Use build packs. So in order to do build packs, we're just going to let our cluster handle it. So instead of doing Maven Spring Boot build image, I'm just going to be like, hey, KPAC, just build a new image. And not only that, if a new build pack comes out, I want you to rebuild the image with the new build pack and all the cool new things. So here we go. We'll just give it time. What are you working on, Will? Maybe let's switch it back to you.
Yeah, feel free. I am working on the buttons that will be our action buttons.
Okay.
So I've been going through and just like setting up, making sure our animations are correct. So like for here on the add button, it's pops the form up and then it goes away.
You know, see, I'm not a front end person.
Yeah.
And that's why I love having you here, because when we do front ends together, when you do front ends, we get all the bells and whistles.
Yeah.
Right? We get the fancy animations, and it's just like, that's just default for you.
Yeah, I like that.
For me, it would be a click here. It'd be a link. Click here, do this thing, and it would be black and white.
hmm
So look at
So
we're
one of
we're
the
both
things
good at
I'm
that.
working on right now is now making an inline edit form.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
and so that is part of the animation I'm working on. What I was running into an issue with is that these are in a component,
Hmm.
and the task is in a separate component, and I needed to be able to pass information to this edit button so that when we hit edit, I want that also to be our cancel button, so
Oh,
it'll flip out. Um, but I was running an issue with where I was keeping the state,
okay.
uh, and so I was able to actually just pass the state and its setter to the other component. So now that it'll all just work pretty seamlessly. So that's what I was
Fantastic.
working on right now here is making it so that when the show edit task is true, we want to do this.
Oh, I lost
We
I
want to
lost
have
my
it
other
be a
screen.
cancel.
Give me a sec. I lost the screen.
Okay.
I'll get there.
Okay.
Where did my other screen go? Oh boy, this is awkward. I had a screen so I could see your screen, and now I can't find it. I'm embarrassed. Where is where did it go? Awkward. I wanted to see the code that you're doing.
Oh, sorry. It's right here.
Um, but where's my other?
Oh, yeah.
It says like, hey, yeah, you're on it, but I don't see it. So I gotta like, uh, and I wish you guys could see me like, oh, and then it just showed up on a different screen. That's so weird. All right, now I can see what you're doing, and now I'm feeling good.
So I was able to do the ternary operator and swap out the buttons based on uh, whether or not we're showing the edit task. And
Nice.
then I'm just having it be, false, true, rather than having to create some sort of handler for all of this. I'm just setting it directly in line.
Very good. All
Um,
right.
so now I want to create my edit form. I just validated that the button is working as expected.
Perfect. All right.
So now I'm going to change this display. It'll be a full input when we do edit.
All right.
That's what I work on now.
Cool. I will. I'll show where I'm at. I now my KPAC is working. Yeah. No magic here. Once I install that bin format on all those QEMU tools, now I've got KPAC working. But again, it's emulated, so it's ARM64 doing emulation so that it can run these AMD 64 images. And I'll keep on going. Right, you're working on stuff like now. I got to find my IDE. Let's see if we can bring that back up. There we go. So here's the commands that we were running. We did that. It looks good. Now we're going to install Contour. And just for time, I'm not going to go look and see if there's been a new release since 2 days ago. So we're just going to run this. And if I have stuff that's 2 days old, then I'll come back and fix it. Where's my other? Here. Let's run it. And what we should see is Contour. There we go. Contour's up and running. Fantastic. We're cooking with gas. We're doing the dynamic provisioning. We already have a metric server that already got installed by default with K3S, so that's good. We don't have to do anything there. Let's install this service bindings controller. And that'll be easy-ish. Hello. Window, boop. Oh, I didn't run that. The second command, the gateway. So that'll show up. Wait. Here, keep going. Go fast, Sean. Let's switch over to the other window. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna close this window because I want it to be a tab. I don't like having all the windows. So let's do this. Let's do a new tab, and let's just go back to that directory. cd fun DaShaun dash dev slash Carifi Pi. That's where I want to do things from because I have this. Oh, I don't remember how to type. I can't talk and type at the same time. I'm working on it.
Me either.
And yeah, so now I have all my stuff, my environment variables. Now I'm going to install that service binding. That's ready to rock. Oop, I can go here. Service binding is coming. I don't think I have to wait for that to go because we're running out of time. Let's go and let's build some namespaces. But these commands are looking for my environment variables, those properties where we set our root namespace. We're going to pull those in. So let me copy. Hello. Boop, and we'll do that here. Good timing. I can go here. Now I could automate all this. I could put all this YAML into a single YAML and just say kubectl apply and go. But there's value here in kind of seeing what you're applying. And I say that right before I go and I'm about to do a Helm chart. I'm not a really big fan of Helm charts, but they sure are easy. So I'm going to give it some secrets. Again, those secrets are in my environment. And now once I do that, now those secrets are only base64 encoded, but they're in that Kubernetes cluster, which is not on this machine. It's on a different machine. And I'm using Docker Hub. That's all good. That's just a config. So it just created a secret on the cluster. No biggie. And now this is the last big thing. This is going to take a little bit. We're going to install this Helm chart. The 0.14.0 Helm chart that just came out a few days ago. And we're going to do that here because we have some properties. Remember, I changed my admin username to PyCarifi so that I don't have collisions. And let's rock. Let it rock. We can watch it over here. And we should see some things. There we go. Carifi's coming. This is going to take a minute to get stood up. Can I switch it back to you?
Yeah.
All right. So I almost have a place for us to deploy to production.
That's great.
I have a Spring Boot app. I'm going to deploy, as soon as this environment's up, I'm going to deploy a broken Spring Boot app to that cluster just because. It'll be there and it'll be running. And then we'll move on.
Okay.
It's okay.
Sorry.
Broken things. Yeah, I hear.
Yeah, absolutely. You got to start somewhere.
Yep.
So I was just working on completing the edit. So when I edit, it puts in the form in line.
Mm-hmm.
I need to obviously put the data. Excuse me, my cat's getting in here.
Nice. I get it.
Hold on.
I've heard about cats.
Yeah, this one likes to be on my desk.
Yeah. Are you busy? Are you doing something? Why not pay attention to me? What about me?
Yeah.
It looks like you're focused on something else. What about me?
Yeah. So yeah, I'm just kind of going through now with a bit of a fine-tooth comb and just figuring out what needs to be done.
Good.
But everything's pretty much ready. I think we're ready to connect to an API.
We're coming at this thing from both sides.
Mm-hmm.
Outside in development is what we're doing. We're doing outside in. You started from the front end. I started all the way from the host, from the infrastructure, from the machines, the bare metal. Yeah. That's where we started on one side. And the other side, we started from the front. Now we got to do the juicy middle.
Mm-hmm. The dance.
So I'm here and I'm going to just keep on going like, hey, we're good. We have Carifi. I'm assuming that Carifi is done installing. It's done. So now I have some post-install things. Like, hey, I need to make sure that I can hit it and log in. So let's do that. So we're going to go and get that. I already know what it's going to be. I'll do it. I'll do those steps anyways. I think I can do that from here. So it's that same address. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to add that IP address so that I can talk. Not this one. We're going to make it, we'll change it. For the blog, it's going to be this. But I made it pycarifi.cc. But I'm going to I'm going to do 1099.118. And that's going to be my pycarifi.cc. I'll do it over here. Sudo nano wsc host. Password. And I did it. API.pycarifi.cc. So we're in good shape. So now let's set our Cloud Foundry. I had the Cloud Foundry CLI installed. let's do the Cloud Foundry login things. So cool. It says, hey, here's your API. It looks good. It's set. Let's do CF login. But this time, I'm going to log in as PyCarifi. Fingers crossed, I hope this works. And it looks like it worked. I'm logged in. I'm authenticated in this PyCarifi cluster that's running Carifi. I'm authenticated. So now we're going to create a space for our work. So I'm going to say CF create org. We're going to call this org stack of the week. What did I do wrong? Oh, I didn't need the dash O. Stack of the week. So now we have an organization called Stack of the Week. I like my organization to map to my GitHub work, right? The things that we take to production, I like them to match so that when we're looking like, oh, what is this Stack of the Week org? Oh, we should know that there's a GitHub org called Stack of the Week. So now that I have that org, I'm going to make different spaces. Watch this. I'm going to say CF create space inside of the Stack of the Week org. I'm going to create a space called Season 2, Episode 1. What do you think about that? You see that? See what I did there? Wait, what did I do? Oh, I don't need the dash S. Sorry. Organization stack of the week not found. It said right here, creating org. Uh-oh. Subject has no CF roles assigned. This is not supported. Oh, so I did something wrong. So I think by default, it was assuming that it was going to be CF admin, but let's go fix it. Let's go fix it. Can I do it here? I think that not there. I did it here. I think I grabbed Carifi. So let's do this. I'm going to say Carifi scripts create user PyCarifi. All right. And now, is that what I need to do? Again, we're all learning here. We're learning. I'm trying to make it so that my different clusters don't collide with each other. So now let's see if I do this create org. Oops.
I'll be right back after you, Zeresh.
Okay. All right. So it says it already exists. So CF orgs. Cool. CF target -o PyCarifi. It says, nope, not for you. How do I make so that this PyCarifi is an admin user? But wait, cat. I said my admin username is PyCarifi. Why can't I target PyCarifi? See, create space inside of PyCarifi, season 2, episode 1. CF login 14. User or org is stack of the week. Is that right? There we go. I was confusing myself. So now I have CF apps. CF target -o stack of the week -s S2E1. We're in good shape. CF apps. I don't have anything there. Now we're cooking. So now in this organization called Stack of the Week, we have a space called S2 Season 2 Episode 1. And now we have this app that we've been working on. So I'm going to go into another tab here. And I have it. It's in that Stack of the Week task. So CD fun, because that's what we do here, Stack of the Week. I'm going to go into task. And now I'm just gonna do a CF push. I'm gonna do one thing. I'm gonna switch because I don't know. Actually, let's try it. Let's see. Let's see if what happens if I do CF push task. I know this. I'm gonna do dash T 120. I'm gonna give it 120 seconds to deploy. And I see that down here. I did the login, I did the things, I did all that. But I'm gonna push it. I'm gonna give it 120 seconds because remember, KPAC is running AMD images. We're on a little $50 Raspberry Pi, and we're telling that Raspberry Pi to emulate an AMD machine when it's an ARM64 machine. So I'm giving it a little bit of time. Let's see what happens. Fingers crossed. What could possibly go wrong? Like our app, at this point, our app is running. It's not in production. You can't hit it yet because we didn't do the additional networking, which I might be able to fast forward us through. But we only got 15 minutes. We got to go. We got to get something going, but we're outside in. We're doing outside in development. So what could possibly go wrong? We're going to meet in the middle. So I'm taking that Spring Boot app. I'm giving it a little bit of time. It's got to go. Oh, this is a single node machine. This might not work. I'll be 100% on it. I've never done this. I've never done a push on a single node machine, letting KPAC do all of it. I've never done this. Let's see. Let's see what happens. Let's see what happens. Will, I'm going to pass it back to you. I'm going to keep an eye on things over here, but I'm going to pass it back to you. How are things going on the front end?
They're going great. Still sitting here. Like I said, it's been a minute since I've used React, so trying to figure out how to pass this in. I think I've set this wrong.
Todd Libby in the house. Todd Libby saying good things are about to happen. That's typically how it goes when Todd Libby shows up. Is good things do start to happen. So let's give a shout out to Todd Libby, who is also one of the moderators on my Twitch channel. Thank you so much for being here, Todd. Todd is also a really, really amazing speaker. So if you get a chance to check him out, I highly recommend it.
There we go. All right, so now that's displaying properly.
All right. We're cooking. Right? I think that's what the kids say these days. We're cooking.
Definitely.
What I say, let him cook. Let Will cook.
I'm all rizzed up, guys.
You are all rizzed up. That's what we do here. We're trying to rizz people up. So I'm going to I'm going to go check out my build, see if it's pushing. Oh, it's still uploading. Oh, I think I made a mistake. I think it uploaded the jar file, but that's okay. We'll just see if we can get something running. But I'm not making a Docker file. Not today. I am not creating a Docker file, and neither should you. Use BuildPacks. We are letting KPAC do the work for us. We're not going to with propane. We know what temperature it needs to be at, so we're going to control it with propane. There we go. It's always good to reach out to the docs. Right? Always good to check out the docs. So on the back end, KPAC, I uploaded all of my source files, and I'm saying, hey, platform, go and manage it for me. I have a shortcut. Again, we only have 14 minutes. I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing after this, but I know that we only have 14 minutes.
Yeah.
Oh, yep, I sure do. I mean, so the pressure's on. It's Friday. We're going to push. We're going to production. My app's still going. We're going to have the back end. While that's happening, what's in our object? We just have title, description, title, status. What was it?
Right now, at the three that I have are ID, title, and is completed. I can add description if we want.
All right, nope. ID, title, and is completed. So I'm gonna, keep going. Yeah, we are living dangerously and pushing on Friday. It's not dangerous. it can be fun. Let's make it fun. Let's just do the right thing. Let's just get really good at what we do so that pushing on Friday is not an issue. Let's use smart tools. Let's be smart, right? Let's have observability and accessibility in place so we know what's going on. And yeah, let's use a good platform. Let's make it easy. Get rid of all like the busy work, the things where we can make mistakes. Automate all that, and let's just go. So while you're doing that, I'm going to do some cheat codes myself. GitHub is my friend. I'm going to lean into. I should have something. I'm looking for a repository that I can copy and paste from. So we can go fast. But I don't know where I keep things. I know what I should do. What I don't do is organize my repos. So let's look for I'm searching. I have so many GitHub orgs that I don't remember where things live.
It happens.
It happens. I'll find it. I just don't remember what I called it. Here we go. Data ingestion. There it is. Give myself a little bit of a cheat code here. We're going to do a class. What do we call it? Task. Item. Task. Task works. And we're going to use Redis hash, and that's it. Give an ID. And what else did you say? ID
title is completed.
ID private string title private boolean completed. I think we're in good shape. I think that might be all I need. Let's do MBW. Test. Does it work? Nope. It says Java 23 not supported. What do I do? Java dash version. Oh, I didn't switch my version. SDK use Java 23.0.2-librca. And what I'm going to do in this repository is I'm going to say SDK END init, so that when I come into this repository, then I have the right version that I need. We're just working side by side. We're coming at this from both sides, outside and development. MVW test. Let's just make sure that I'm compilable, reachable, and we're both just working on code. I have a build going on in the background that's not the latest version. Oh, I think I know why. Because I was making changes locally, and I think that caused my build to fail. Let me look. CA certs. Oh, it did a seg fault. Something really bad happened. And I'm guessing maybe it's because Java 23 is not supported on this build pack. How do I find that out? I can look up here at the build packs that it pulled in, and I can look for, wait, I don't see, a Java build pack. So here's what we're gonna do. I'm going to pivot. You need to switch the file share. From Mohammed, he says you need to switch the share. Oh, I think he maybe was talking about the screen, what I was working on.
Yeah, mine's not as interesting.
Yeah, so let's go over here and we'll show this. So what I've done is said, hey, all I've done, I haven't done any real big steps. I just said, hey, I'm going to add this Redis hash because I have Redis in here, and that's going to be our object. And then I made sure that I could build it. So what I'm going to do, hopefully, mdnw, I'm going to do spring boot build image -p native. I'm going to build a native image, ARM64 native image, and then I'm going to push that as a Docker file to that single node Kubernetes cluster that's running K3s or Karifi. So this is going to take like 2 minutes, and that's okay. And you know what? Do I need to push this? I might need to push this up to my Docker hub. So I need to do the image name. Please hold. How to do. There is a, I can give it the image name. From the command line. And we'll do that. I can rename it. I don't have to give it the image name. I'll rename it. So it's building my native image. So let's go back to our little our drawing over here. Why do we choose that? Well, because we're on a Raspberry Pi. And by building a native image, first of all, the container that I'm going to build is smaller. So when I push it over the wire to my Kubernetes cluster, it's going to go faster. But also the amount of memory that it uses at runtime. We did this earlier in the stream. It's going to run smaller. It's going to start up faster. That's what we're doing. So we're going to build this not using KBAC. We're going to build it because we're pressed for time. We got 5 minutes. I'm going to try to push this image up, and we'll see. So come on. This is maybe why when we do this next time, I'm going to put my development machine on a different machine than the one I'm streaming on. Maybe we'll get a little bit.
We're learning things each time.
But I like the idea of let's see what we can do in 2 hours.
Yeah,
Between the two of us, I think we can do some stuff. And I think the more we do this, the faster we get.
Yeah.
And that's it. It's just about getting reps. Being selfish. I like this. I'm having fun. I'm learning.
I'm having fun.
So let's just keep it doing. Let's keep going. Mohammed, I hope that you're learning. I hope that you're figuring stuff out. Todd, I'm glad that you're here. Daniel, it's always a pleasure. And who else did we talk to earlier? Session Girl. And yeah, Dan was here. It's a good time. So now I have an image. What I'm going to do is Docker. How do I rename the image? I tag it. Docker tag task 0.0.1 snapshot. I'm going to tag it with DaShaun io dot stack of the week dot task. I'm gonna call it S2E1 dash ARM64. And I'm gonna just ignore that call. I hope that's not anybody important. And then I'm gonna say Docker push DaShaun io stack of the week dot task S2E1 dash ARM64. I'm going to push it. So now that's going up to my Docker hub. And thank you for sharing that. I'm glad that you're learning. So now that it's up there, now that it's up in Docker Hub, now you can actually go and pull that image. You can run it so you can verify. Like we're trying to do this in public. We'll commit all of our changes here. But now that I have that, I'm going to take this image name and I'm going to go over here where I did try to build here. It failed. What I'm going to do now is we're here, CF apps. We're going to delete that one. CF delete task. Yes. And we're going to push the image that we just built so that KBAC doesn't have to do all that extra work, right? So please work. Let's go back over here and we'll look at our K9s. And then let's go here. We're going to say CF push -- help because I want to push a Docker image. So I'm going to say CF push -- Docker image. CF push. Where did I say it? App name, we're going to call it task -- Docker - image. And then there's the image name. Fingers crossed. We're pushing our ARM64 native build. We're going to push it to Karifi. What happened here? K9s. Wait, what? K9s is wonky. Did I break something? Oh, I broke something. Access denied on resource. What did I do? This says it's running. Can I see it from here? What did I do? What did I change? I'm not sure what I changed. But I can do this. Kucuddle. Get pods -a. PyKarifi can't list pods in API group. What? What did I do? When I by using the same name as my admin user, I might have screwed things up. I might have screwed things up. So how to do that? I did this CF apps works. Oh, so let's just do it. Let's just not worry about that. Let's say CF apps. Cool. Here's my route. I can give, let's do this, sudo nano w etc hosts. We're going to make it so that my local machine knows that this is the same. I'm going to give this task so that now when I go here to task.apps.pykarifi.cc/actuator health. Fingers crossed. Oh boy. Why? Did I do that right? What have I done? We're out of time. Yeah, I'm out of time. I really wanted that to work. Why didn't that work? Oh man. I'm bummed here.
We tried hard today, though.
We did, but we're gonna do it again. Will, please come back and do this again with me next week.
Absolutely, I'd love to.
I know that I totally dropped the ball. I didn't have anything ready, but I was trying to do it from scratch.
Yeah, and I think that's a good aim.
You'll come back with me?
Absolutely.
Again? Okay, that's cool. Thank you. This was fun. I'm having fun.
I loved it.
Of just like getting reps in, kicking the dust off of things, and we'll just keep on doing it, right?
Yep.
We don't always get the benefit of going to production with the same things all the time, and there's a lot of cool technology that we need to be trying, right?
Yeah.
Like, I went to production with PHP before, but I might not want to do it right now, but kicking the dust off, giving it a chance, like that's what we do. So like, hey, let's go. Thank you so much. Thanks to everybody. I really, I'm happy. It was wonderful. And yeah, we hope to see you again next week.
All right. See you guys next week.